Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Round 2 recap of RBY Invitational 4. Every week, I'll select 3 to 5 exciting games to go over as hopefully an entertaining and educational summary of each round. If you're interested in seeing more of this content, please let me know by messaging me on Discord. To begin, we have Game 2 of Laraxel versus Nails. Before we even click start, I'm going to spoil Laraxel's team for you. He has Gengar, Executor, Cloyster, with 4 attacks Snorlax, and Seismic Toss, Counter, Thunderwave, Chansey. For the past 2 years, this 6 has been an extraordinarily common bring into Nails, being brought against him 5 times the load in SPL 13. This is because during SPL 12 and Invitational 2, a vast number of Nails' teams were Jinx Starmie Jolteon, Jinx Starmie Alakazam, and Starmie Cloyster Alakazam. These 3 teams comprise of over half of his brings, and the strategy worked exceptionally well for him. The same trend remains true in SPL 11 and 10, and throughout those 3 seasons, Nails had a combined 20 and 8 set record, good for an over 70% win rate. Are you starting to see why the player base was able to begin counterstyling Nails very effectively in SPL 13? Not only did he use many of the same teams, but his sets were almost always identical on his 6s. His Snorlaxes on these teams were Amnesia, Ice Beam, Reflect, Rest, Body Slam, Reflect, Hyper Beam, Rest, and Body Slam, Reflect, Self-Destruct, Rest. As you can tell, none of his Snorlax carried Earthquake. Furthermore, some of his Tauros would even drop Earthquake for Fire Blast, and along with his nearly 40% Jinx usage, Nails was very susceptible to Gengar. Adding Cloyster, hardwalling his infamous Ice Lax set, and Executor tying the team together, it's not hard to see why this was such a common bring into Nails. Not only does the 6 match up well into Nails' usual teams, but it also matches up nicely into his playstyle. Nails has a more reactive playstyle, preferring to sit back and play it safe. Now Gengar, on the other hand, is very good at forcing the issue, and combined with 2 more explosions with Executor and Cloyster, the team drags Nails out of his comfort zone and forces him to be more aggressive. History shows that Nails returns to Earth when unable to pilot within his comfort zone, only going 10 and 10 during SPL 13 and 14, where his usage stats changed drastically. Now that we have all that out of the way, let's get into the actual game. Laraxel gets the lead matchup he wants, and even though he misses Hypnosis while Jinx lands Lovely Kiss, he's still in a fine spot since Jinxie is unable to get his Chansey frozen. He forces Jinx to rest, bringing in Tauros, which eventually forces Snorlax onto the field. Now, after Laraxel reveals Cloyster on turn 11, Nails now knows that his Snorlax will never make any progress against this team, as he's running the classic Nails team with Amnesia, Ice Beam, Reflect, Rest, Snorlax. Now, despite this, Nails is not dead in the water. By the end of turn 31, after we skip a bunch, he's already gotten 7 Blizzards off into freezable targets, but without a freeze, and has successfully sacked Jinx to sleep, as we can see. Come on. Click, 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 click. There we go. Laro has slept the Jinx. Laraxel has also been risking his Cloyster bit in this sequence, as he's been switching it into Bolt Beam Chansey and raw clamping on it. Now, as the game progresses, Nails is going to get more opportunities to land Freeze on Chansey, and is able to get more opportunities to freeze Chansey and even Thunderbolt to Cloyster, but never gets it. Laraxel also turns up the aggression later on in the game. Now, if we skip to turn 50, we can see that on turn 53, Laraxel is able to get the Unparalyzed Snorlax and Unparalyzed Chansey on turn 53, and then eventually on turn 60, we skip. He gets the Tauros in on the resting Snorlax, which lets these lines eventually let him paralyze the Starmie on turn 61. And then the game state then changes drastically on turn 77. Come on, let's go. Yep. As on turn 77, Laraxel trains his Snorlax for Starmie. Then on turn 79, and then later on turn 85, Cloyster comes in on Chansey as it gets fully paralyzed under 50% health, giving Laraxel opportunities to lock it down with Clamp, and then eventually put pressure on with Tauros. In a similar sequence, Cloyster clamps down on Snorlax that can't touch it to generate more free turns later on for the game for his Tauros, and a Nails eventually crumbles, as we see here. Tauros goes in, yada yada yada, Hyper Beam, bop, 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 game over. Woo! Congratulations. So overall, even though Laraxel doesn't play perfectly throughout the game, he has such a colossal matchup advantage, and combined with a bit of luck, he's able to take down one of the best players in the tier's history. Up next, we have Game 1 of Any Yami vs. Star. For this game, we're going to start on turn 13. Enigami has a sleeping Starmie along with a fully healthy Victory Bell and Dragonite revealed. Star has a frozen Alakazam, paralyzed Chansey, and a fully healthy Snorlax and Gengar. Enigami is rocking a Wrap team, and things are honestly looking not too bad after he froze Alakazam turn 1 and traded his Snorlax for Starmie. The only obstacle besides actually having to hit Wrap, of course, is Gengar. But at this point, Star is forced into clicking Psychic and risking his Gengar. And so while the Gengar gets paralyzed on this turn, it's not the end of the world since it takes no damage from Wrap while draining its uses. Unfortunately, Star makes a critical error of booming his Gengar the following turn. And now, while he's removed Victory Bell, after Dragonite lands Thunder Wave on Tauros, his Wrap counterplay turns literally into just praying. Now, if we click throughout the rest of the game, which I will do for you, Enigami hits 46 of his 51 Wraps, including at some point 23 in a row, to slowly suffocate Star into submission. The accuracy is a lie for sure. Yep, we click, and Enigami takes the game. For our last game, we have Game 1 of McMegan vs. Juva. I want to highlight the early game for this one. To begin, we see a Gengar lead mirror, but Chuva gains a massive advantage after dodging Hypnosis and letting a critical hit with Psychic. He correctly calls the switch out turn 2, and while he misses Hypnosis and eventually ends up sleeping the Gengar, he's able to bring down the Executor to 24% with Nightshade before being forced out, as we can see. So historically, Gengar were always Nightshade and Thunderbolt, but players started adapting against the increasing Gengar usage by running Psychic over Nightshade. This allows you to chip the Gengar in the lead mirror so you can later aim to KO it and sleep something else while sacking your own Gengar to sleep. Of course, naturally, Chuva was one of the first to display this strategy. But the issue here is Executor. If Chuva had Thunderbolt over Nightshade, Executor would have been near full, and guessing wrong and sleeping the 13% Gengar, which he did, would have been punished significantly more. While Starmie is of course an issue, Gengar is more so an early game Pokemon that aims to be slept, while Starmie is more of a mid to late game Pokemon, so the issue can be worked around. And against lead Starmie, the option of clicking Hypnosis or going right to Chansey are still there. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the Round 2 Recap RBY Invitational 4. Again, if you're interested in seeing more of this content, please let me know by messaging me on Discord. I'll leave all the relevant RBY Invitational links in the video description, and I hope everyone checks out my favorite tournament of the year. See you next time.